What's going on, everybody? It's the Scene Snob here, and this is the Scene Snob Reviews. It is, of course, Thursday, so that means that the new episode of Picard has come out, and I'm reviewing it. This is for the Scene Snob Reviews. I like to pick up on different TV shows, like one after the other. I don't want to do too many at once, and I've gone with Picard. So this is episode 5, Stardust City Rag. Now, this was an interesting episode, and it was actually the first episode I'd say didn't feel very familiar as a Star Trek type of show. Um, with that being said, if I was gonna draw a comparison to the story of this episode to any of the other series, I would probably say more like the original series. Um, and I kind of dug that, really, honestly. But that's just a comparison. It didn't feel like that. It just kind of like the adventure of this episode. Them going undercover and pulling off a deal to try and obtain something they needed. So it was cool in that way. Um, it was 709, of course. We get more with her in it. I don't want to give away too much of the story, but it starts out with a flashback from 13 years ago. And I didn't watch Voyager, but I do know a 709. I've read the lore, things like that, and understand the show and the characters. And there was a character in the beginning of it called Ikeb. I didn't watch Voyager, but I know he was a character on Voyager, and he was close to 709. They were both reformed Borgs. So he was in this, and he meets his demise. That's kind of how he opened the episode, and drives 709 to a revenge type plot in this episode. So going through the basic story of it all is Bruce Maddox is on this is being held prisoner by Bajile, I think her name was. It looks like a crime boss on this place called Free Cloud, a planet called Free Cloud, and so they have to go and get Bruce Maddox. Now, the connection being is, I guess, Bajile was the one that killed Ikeb years ago because she collects implant parts, and she was going to sell Bruce Maddox to Taishir for a hefty sum. So they have to go undercover to go get Bruce Maddox, and their plan is to trade 709 for Bruce Maddox. And, they have a whole plan because they weren't going to leave her stranded. And it was very cool how it played out. Like I said, it was adventurous in nature. They all had to play up characters. Rios was dressed hilariously like a 70s pimp. You kind of you find out with Agnes that she had a relationship with Bruce Maddox. I kind of thought that's where they were going to go with it, but I don't know how I feel about that. Not because people can't be in a relationship, but it was just, it's predictable. So I didn't love that. But she still is like holding off, like she's hiding something. So you're kind of like, what's going on here? Obviously, a lot's coming out more and more that Starfleet had a lot to do with. Well, the Romulans basically had everything to do with the plan to turn to synthetics on the 14 years ago on Mars that day, and that was to get Starfleet and everybody to hate synthetics as much as they do. So I know I'm going on a little bit, but so like that plan seems to be coming out more and more, and especially in this episode because we learn a lot about that, especially through Bruce Maddox and what he knows. And we didn't get a lot with we didn't get anything really with Soja at all. Just more of her backstory through Maddox, but and then we see Narek for a small time with his sister, and that's kind of where you get the Romulan connection and everything. It was but just to kind of back out of that, I don't want to go on too much about the conspiracy theories of the show, but just this episode in general wasn't a terrible episode, but it didn't feel like Picard, and it didn't feel like Star Trek. It just felt like kind of a cool, adventurous, like more like a Firefly than anything else. Like you could see the characters from Firefly doing this. Not Picard, like only because Picard's always been so different in his demeanor, and like even when he went undercover, it was still very stiff upper lip type. This he was playing it up a bit, and it was fun to see Patrick Stewart playing the role. But when you tell me that it's Patrick Stewart playing Picard playing the role, I didn't feel it. I don't know. There's kind of a disconnect there. I didn't feel like that was something Picard would have done. But I'm not I don't tout myself as the huge Star Trek fan. I love the lore. I love the series. TNG and the original series and Deep Space Nine, and I've seen Enterprise. Unfortunately, I haven't seen Voyager yet. I need to sit down and watch it, but I have read up on it and everything, so I know all the characters and such. But and Discovery too as well. So I do have kind of an understanding of what's going on, of the characters, things like that. But I don't know. It just, the more we get into it, the less it kind of feels like it has a connection with the Next Generation, or that this is the same Picard that we knew. Let me know what you guys think, though. Am I off base on this? But I did like the episode. I do want to point that out. I did like the episode. I thought the episode was kind of cool. I like the crew he's got. We got more dimensions on Rafi because she left to go. You didn't know why she was leaving, but she was leaving the mission. She just said she wanted to get the Free Cloud. And you find out her son was there and he's having a baby, and that she was a drug addict after she got kicked out of Starfleet, and drug addict and drinker. So she's since cleaned herself up, and she's trying to reconnect with her son and meet her grandchild when it comes. So there's a lot of interesting. They're starting to add layers to the characters. I understand Rafi now more, whereas in her first episode, I was kind of like, why are you like this? Why does it have to be like this in a utopia? Why are you? But I get it now. And I kind of dig that. I kind of like that. Okay, she stuck herself in isolation when you have a utopia all around you, because she was this way. And it deals with mental illness a bit, and I like that I like that that's something they're touching down on, because not that they never did. Very rarely did they deal with it as a mental illness, like in certain situations throughout Star Trek, like, how do you get rid of mental illness in the future in a utopia? So I kind of like that they're doing that with her. So that added some layers to it. But again, with everything else, I didn't love that Maddox and Ikeb, like, because I looked them up, they were different actors. Like, I was looking at Maddox, like, that doesn't look anything like him. Like, is that Maddox? Like, what's going on? And I know there's only one episode, but I wish I had gotten the characters back. So I think that would add it to it, because they've been doing a really good job with it of late. So I was just hoping that they'd have more, but beggars can't be choosers, and I shouldn't be picking it apart for that. At times it seemed a little silly, but again, like I said, it was a good episode. Not the best that's happened so far. I still maintain that probably the first episode was the best one so far. Probably followed by episode 4 last week, and this one's maybe a third or fourth. The second one was not my favorite. So with that being said, let me know what you guys think. Maybe I missed something. Maybe you can share it with me. We'll have dialogue, and maybe I'll learn something. I always love learning stuff. So I'm anxious to hear what you guys thought. So comment below, or you can message me. We can talk about it, and I'm always happy to listen. Also, give us a like and subscribe, and hit the notification buttons, because we're always doing videos. We have content always coming out. There's a brand new episode of the Scene Snobs that's up. Scene Snobs podcast with special guest Kenny Varnu. Last week I had a Scene Snobs podcast with I interviewed the director of Idle Hands, The Unborn, the brand new movie Eat Brains Love, Rodman Flender. We have a new Marriage Like That podcast up, new 20-minute wrestling podcast up this week. So we have so much stuff coming out. Brand new episodes of my new podcast with Brian Patrick from the Skyline Indie Film Festival, where we discuss filmmaking, the technical side of things, movies that we like, things like that. But it's primarily from the filmmaking standpoint and the film festival standpoint. That's called Pulling Focus Podcast, that just premiered this week on Tuesday. And the first 2 episodes are out, so go check that out and follow us, not just on Instagram and Twitter. You can follow the Scene Snob. And you can follow PFP Show or Pulling Focus Podcast on Instagram, Twitter, or Facebook. Everything is on there. You can go through to listen to the shows. You can go through thescenesnobs.com and there's links to everything. So looking forward to it. Definitely check it out. Let me know what you think. And with that, also give a like or subscribe on whatever platforms you're listening to, on whether it be YouTube, SoundCloud. We're on everything. So just go check it out. Look forward to hearing from you guys. And also, I am sponsoring the Lost Weekend 13 Film Festival out of Alamo Winchester in Winchester, Virginia. So Draft House in Winchester, Virginia, I should say. That's March 19th to the 22nd. So check that out. Get your tickets. They have still tickets available. It's $40, but you get to see 44 films and be a part of all the festivities. Some very cool stuff going on there. Or you can buy individual tickets as well to any movie you want. So yeah, with that being said, thanks for watching and listening, and I will talk to you guys soon. Take care.